Most people never talk about this moment, but you probably remember it clearly. It's the first time you notice the silence. Not dramatic silence. Not loneliness that announces itself. Just quiet. The group chat slowed down. The invitations stopped coming automatically. The friendships that once felt effortless now require intention or disappear entirely. And one day you realize your life has fewer people in it than you expected. This isn't a failure, and it isn't random. If you ever wonder why you have few friends, or sometimes none at all, there are real psychological reasons behind it. Reasons rooted in how your mind works, how your heart protects itself, and how your values quietly shape your world. Let's start with a truth most people avoid saying out loud. Some people are simply wired differently. Their minds are quieter, more reflective, less interested in noise, and more drawn to meaning. They don't chase crowds. They don't feel energized by constant stimulation. They observe more than they speak, feel more than they show, and think deeply about things most people skim past. This wiring affects how friendships form. If you ever felt socially different, it's not because something is wrong with you. It's because your inner world operates on sincerity instead of speed. One of your strongest traits is introspection. You replay conversations long after they end. You notice subtleties, tone shifts, pauses, what wasn't said. You search for meaning beneath words. This depth gives you insight, but it also creates distance. Small talk feels empty. Casual banter feels unfinished. You crave conversations that reveal truth, not just pastime. But most social interactions stay on the surface. So when your mind naturally seeks depth, bonding becomes harder. Not because you lack social skills, but because you refuse to fake interest where none exists. You're built for sincerity, not performance. Another reason your circle is small is your instinct to protect your energy. At some point, you learn that not everyone is safe. Maybe you trusted too easily once. Maybe you gave loyalty to people who couldn't hold it. Maybe you saw inconsistency, emotional unpredictability, or quiet selfishness, and you learned to move more carefully. Now you don't rush connection. You don't open your inner world to everyone. You don't overshare. You don't force bonds just to feel included. Others may mistake this for disinterest, but it isn't. It's self-respect shaped by experience. You want connection, but not at the cost of repeating old pain. Then there's emotional self-reliance. Some people learn early that they must carry themselves. They become their own comfort, their own support system. They don't ask for help easily. They don't show vulnerability unless it feels safe. They learn to endure quietly. This strength is admirable, but it has a cost. Friendships require vulnerability to survive. And when you're used to holding everything alone, others don't always know how to step closer. They assume you don't need anyone. But needing less doesn't mean needing nothing. Another defining trait is your sensitivity to authenticity. You feel insincerity instantly. Forced laughter, half interest, performative kindness. You notice it all. And because honesty matters deeply to you, you withdraw from anything that feels artificial. Most people tolerate shallow connection. You don't. You refuse to dilute your inner world just to belong. And that selectiveness naturally narrows your circle. Here's something few people acknowledge. Emotional maturity shrinks social circles. If you avoid drama, refuse petty conflict, value growth, and think before reacting, you already live on a different emotional wavelength. You don't enjoy gossip. You don't chase validation. You don't compete in friendships disguised as connection. You seek calm, consistency, and clarity. And when others seek stimulation over stability, the gap widens, not because you're better, but because your values operate on a different frequency. There's also the quiet habit of masking emotional fatigue. You say you're fine. You smile. You stay composed. You say you're busy instead of overwhelmed. People see strength and assume you don't need checking on. So you become the listener, the advisor, the steady one, but rarely the one others try to understand. You don't want to burden anyone. So you carry it quietly, and that misunderstanding slowly shapes a lonelier social world. Many people with few friends also have complex minds, creative, analytical, pattern-seeking. You think in metaphors and meaning. Conversations often feel slightly misaligned. Others describe the surface while you see the structure beneath it. This difference isn't arrogance. It's simply a different way of experiencing reality. There's also a gentleness about you that people underestimate. When you care fully. When you're loyal, it's unwavering. When you let someone in, it's real. That depth can overwhelm people used to lighter bonds. So they keep things casual, and you feel that shift immediately. Your life story matters too. Maybe you moved often. Maybe independence was taught early. Maybe you were the observer, the listener, the one focused on survival rather than connection. Solitude became familiar, safe, and people who learn solitude early often become comfortable with it. That comfort doesn't erase loneliness, but it does change how you choose relationships. Another shared trait is intuition. You sense intentions. You feel energy shifts. You recognize when interest is temporary. And the moment something feels unstable, you step back, not out of fear, but self-trust. In a world full of inconsistency, that intuition keeps your circle small. Strong values do the same. Kindness, respect, patience, honesty, humility. Not everyone is ready for intentional living, so your standards filter people out automatically. The result is fewer connections, but truer ones. Some people lose friends because they grow, because they heal, because they choose peace over chaos. And sometimes growth feels lonely, but alone doesn't mean empty. You're not searching for crowds. You're searching for resonance. You notice effort. You notice withdrawal. You feel when you're an option instead of priority. And you step away from one-sidedness without drama. You carry quiet but firm boundaries. You won't tolerate inconsistency, disrespect, or anything that makes your soul feel small. And in a convenience-driven world, boundaries reduce quantity, but increase quality. Social interaction can also exhaust you, not because you dislike people, but because you feel everything deeply. You listen fully. You absorb emotions. You show up with intention. And afterward, you need space to recharge. Needing space is a rejection. It's self-awareness. And finally, there's this truth. You're not afraid of being alone. You prefer honest solitude to fake togetherness. Peace over noise. Clarity over approval. And that quiet courage changes everything. People who fear loneliness accept anyone. People who respect solitude wait for alignment. Your circle is small because your standards are real. Your path is quieter, but not weaker. You think deeply. You feel sincerely. You love intentionally. You protect your inner world. You grow. You listen. You see. You were never built for half-hearted connections. And that isn't a flaw. It's a rare kind of strength.